Are you struggling to get a response to that all-important first message on a dating app? I'm dating coach Hayley Quinn, and I'm here to tell you 5 strategies to how you can get more responses to your messages and allow them to really stand out in someone's inbox. So I know how frustrating it can be if you feel like you're putting tons of effort into your messages and you're just not really getting any responses back. The good news is though, most people's messages are really generic. They look exactly the same and they're too easy to get lost in the shuffle. With the 5 tips I'm going to give you today, I'm going to help you to craft exciting and unique messages that really stand out. So first of all, and we're going to start with an obvious pointer here, I want you to really avoid sending generic or low effort first messages. So a low effort message could be, hey, how's it going? Or hey, how's your weekend going? Now, when you send a message that is this low effort and this generic, it doesn't work for several key reasons. First of all, it's really hard to respond to the message, hey, how are you, when you don't know the person. Because the question isn't clearly defined, it becomes hard to respond to. And I'll be giving you some more advice around how you can use questions purposefully in your messages later. Secondly, whilst you might think it's really time efficient to send these messages out and that you just don't have time to craft anything more original, unfortunately, these messages are communicating all the wrong values around you. They're making it seem that there's no specific reason why you're reaching out to that particular person. And because of that, it will sort of imply that you're just chancing it and messaging anyone and everyone. So instead, what you really need to demonstrate is that there's a specific reason why you chose to message someone. And this doesn't actually have to be tons of hard work. Once you get into the knack of writing more specific messages, they're going to come a lot more easily to you. Let me just give you a quick example of how you could get that done. So to begin with, it's important that you pick a specific detail to comment on. Say you see someone's profile and they seem to be into yoga. Let's go with the yoga thing. Now, we don't want to just phrase this as a serious question. If you say, so what style of yoga do you do? Or how often do you practice yoga? Again, the question is a little bit logical and a little bit boring. It's not likely to make someone feel really excited to chat to you. So instead, you might want to phrase it like, so what would it take for me to convince you to quit the yoga and try kickboxing instead? So you'll see in this example, just by choosing something more specific and phrasing it in a playful way, you're going to really increase your chances that that message is going to be met with a response. Which leads me on to my second pointer, which is simply, are your messages written in a way that's playful? A good way to check this out is you can just read your message back out aloud to yourself. That will be a really quick method to show you whether the tone of your messages is on point. Often it's not so much the words that we say, but it's actually how we phrase them that really makes the difference. And it's really important that when someone receives your message, that they could imagine talking and hanging out with you in person as well. If writing messages in a way that's playful isn't something that comes really naturally to you, you could do one of 2 things. First of all, you could say it and then type what you've said. So often we speak in a way that's less formal than how we write. You can try that as a little hack to help write your messages in a way that's more conversational. Secondly, if there's any possibility for your message to be interpreted in the wrong way, make sure you use an emoji to communicate the intent with which the message has been written. The third thing I want you to do to help improve your online dating messages is to pose a direct question. So we've already spoken about using questions that are a little bit vague and too generic. The hey, how are yous of this world are really difficult for people to respond to because they're so general. It's like, do I tell someone the truth about how I am today, or do I just say I'm fine or I'm okay, thanks? Often questions like these will dead end a conversation. Likewise, however, if you don't pose a question at all, this can also make it harder for the other person to respond to you. So say you're commenting on a person's picture and you're just sending them a quick message like, hey, cute dogs. On the one hand, it's good that you've picked up on a specific detail and you've tried to show that you're tailoring your message to their profile. However, because it's just a comment and because there isn't a specific question to respond to, it's going to be much easier for someone to read that message and be like, oh, that's nice, and not really respond and engage with it. So instead, think about how you could phrase that statement as a specific question. Could you say instead, hey, cute doggies, do you think they get on with my cat? ? just by adding that last part of the sentence, which makes it a specific question, you're going to get a much greater likelihood of someone actually responding. The fourth change I'd like you to make to improve your messaging quality is to choose the right detail from someone's profile to comment on. So in the world of online dating, there is a bit of a hierarchy in terms of what detail carries the most weight and is going to create the most impact on a message. If, for instance, you just say, nice smile, whilst it's nice to be told you've got a nice smile, again, the detail there is too generic. Too many people could have said that, so it's not going to be as good. A step above that will be to comment on a hobby or an interest. Just like I gave you that example earlier of saying, it's great that you're into yoga, but could I convince you to try kickboxing instead? This is a simple example of how you're zeroing in on a hobby or interest that's specific to them and how you're playfully phrasing it in a way that relates to you. Potentially the best detail you can find on a person's profile is something that they've demonstrated about their personality. Now, this is even better if they haven't said it directly. So for instance, if on their profile they've written, I like dancing around my kitchen to 80s music, they don't say that they're spontaneous and fun and quirky, but it's really implied through what they've written. So if you can be shrewd here and pick up on a quality that they've implied and use that to comment on in their profile, again, you're going to win bonus points here to be not only able to identify something you like about them, but demonstrate that you're not somebody who's there sending these low effort messages out there on the internet, but instead that you're really choosing and selecting who you interact with based on their personal qualities. So if you want to develop your communication skills and confidence in the realm of dating, I would love you to enroll in my free online training program. Just hit the link that is on the screen at the moment or below to get joined onto my newsletter and your free video mini course sent to you. So the final thing I want you to ask yourself about your first messages are, am I using the right first word to begin this message? Now imagine if you have an online dating inbox that's full of messages and they all start something like, hey Anna, or hey Raj, or hey, how's your weekend going? This is going to be really hard to stand out from everyone else if your message also begins in exactly the same way. Because of this, try instead using an unusual word at the start of your message. So do you remember earlier when I was talking to you about the importance of picking out a specific detail from their profile? You can actually insert this and use this as the first word of your message. So for instance, if they're into baking, you could put baking ? Any chance you bring cookies to your first dates? You could say surfing ? Is this a good time to tell you I've got a phobia of waves? So anything that you do just by taking that right specific first detail that they shared in their profile and then using that as the first word to begin your message to them, it's not only going to make your message sound really well focused on who they are as a person, it's also just going to look unique in their inbox compared to everybody else's first message out there. So I hope these 5 tips to make your online dating profile messages really work for you. Remember, if people aren't getting back to your messages, this doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It's probably a signal that we need to sharpen up that profile. Check out the link below, by the way, for another great video that I've put together on online dating. And it might mean that you need to craft better first messages. But ultimately, like any aspect of our lives with dating, if you can put the effort in, you can develop the skills, you're going to then get the results and get the confidence to keep going. I'm dating coach Hayley Quinn. If you found the information in this video helpful, please give us a like or a subscribe, and I hope to see you again really soon.